We are continuing with our chapter on the Middle Ages. Today's topic is the Byzantine Empire. We should have a pretty short set of notes or slides here today. Remember, the Byzantine Empire is the same thing as the Eastern Roman Empire, and they are going to reach their height around the year 500. Greeks were the empire's largest group, even though it included the Egyptians, Syrians, Arabs, Armenians, Jews, Persians, Slavs, and Turks. So lots of different groups. Hopefully we remember the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. It's Constantinople, even though we haven't talked about Constantinople in just a little bit here. By the year 500, Constantinople was one of the world's largest cities, and it was located between the Black and the Aegean Seas. Constantinople was a crossroads for trade between Asia and Europe, and it was easily defended because of a peninsula. So it had water on three sides, and then a huge wall guarded the city on the fourth side. So invaders had to attack from the sea, which made it, again, relatively easy to defend. Here is a picture of a portion of the wall that protected Constantinople. Initially, they followed Roman ways. Public buildings and palaces were built in the Roman style, and they even built arenas and held chariot races. People would speak Latin and use Roman laws. Many of the people that were living in the Byzantine Empire had once lived in Rome, but as time passes, the Byzantine Empire is going to become less Roman and more Greek. Eventually, people began to speak Greek. They also took ideas from Egyptians and other groups that were living there as well, and eventually all of these cultures are going to blend to form the Byzantine culture. So it's kind of like the United States today. We have people from all over the world living in the United States, all different cultures and religions and everything just kind of coming together. And that's what the Byzantine Empire is going to kind of be like at that time. From 500 until 1200, the Byzantines were one of the most advanced empires or civilizations in the entire world. The Byzantine Empire would last for about 1,000 years. Most of that time, Constantinople was the largest city in Europe. They were highly educated, and they would spread Christianity during this time as well. The Byzantine Empire was the center of trade between Europe and Asia. They had Russia in the north, the Mediterranean to the south, Latin Europe in the west, Persia and China in the east. So basically, in order for any of these people to trade, they were going to come through the Byzantine Empire. So again, they're going to get really, really wealthy off of this. One of the biggest luxury items at that time would be silk. Silk could only be found in China, but the Byzantines wanted to basically cut that out, and they wanted the silk for themselves. They wanted to get wealthy off of this luxury item. So they're going to actually smuggle or steal silkworms out of China and begin to weave their own silk. This is a picture of a silkworm. They just kind of look like a roly-poly. This I think is super cool. This is what a silkworm is capable of doing. It's like a giant cobweb almost. But basically you can take this and spin this and weave this into silk. In 537, the Hagia Sophia was built. It is going to become the religious center of the Byzantine Empire, and it still stands in Istanbul today. If you Google a picture of Istanbul, 9 out of the 10 pictures will probably feature the Hagia Sophia because it's one of the most famous landmarks, not just in Istanbul, but the entire world. And it is just like a huge part of the skyline of the city itself. So again, if you look up any pictures of Istanbul, there's a good chance you're going to see this mosque. It was one of the many grand churches built during this time. So it was actually built as a Christian church. Here's a look inside the Hagia Sophia. Today it is an Islamic mosque. Again, it was built as a church, but today it's a mosque. Here's another look inside. And one more picture. So really, really cool, especially considering, the age of it and everything, how well it has held up over time. Inside the Hagia Sophia are walls of marble and mosaics. A mosaic is a picture made from small pieces of glass or stone. And mosaics mainly showed saints or Christian holy people. So the cool thing about this, even though it's a mosque today, they still have a lot of these original mosaics because a lot of the figures in Christianity are also important religious figures in Islam as well. I personally think mosaics are super, super cool because I'm not very artistic. So it is crazy to me what people are capable of doing with these mosaics. So this is a really, really detailed example of a mosaic inside the Hagia Sophia. Again, this is a bunch of tiny little pieces of glass or marble that are basically assembled like a puzzle almost to create this larger image. Here is a much more scaled down version. This might be something that you might make in art class or something sometime of a mosaic. But this one shows you a little bit better how those individual pieces can form that larger image. That is the end of our slides for the Byzantine Empire.